Greetings and welcome to this week's episode of Vampire the Masquerade Beyond Armageddon. Before we begin, I'd like to make a few announcements. First, please consider checking out the new upcoming V5 book, Sabbat the Schism. Not only does it delve into the history and lore of the sect, it opens up multiple role-playing options for fans of the game, including new playable clans, elder level powers, and much more. You can find a preview of Sabbat the Schism in the link below. Second, I'd like to thank RS Experiments, aka Mark, our local musical talent, for graciously providing the custom music you've been enjoying so far, including our awesome main theme song called Haven Dweller. If you enjoy any of the music used during the stream and you'd like to hear more, you can find a full library of Mark's work by clicking the link below to RS Experiments' SoundCloud page. Lastly, if you enjoy tonight's session and you'd like to see more, be sure to follow both our channels. You can catch us live most Sundays at 7 p.m. CET by tuning in to twitch.tv/RSAGames, or check out all our recorded sessions at RSA Games on YouTube. Links below. Remember to like, subscribe, and be sure to leave us feedback and suggestions in the comments below. We hope you enjoy the session, and without further ado, let us delve into the world of darkness in tonight's episode of Vampire the Masquerade Beyond Armageddon. We begin as the night seems rather cold around the haven. You rise, only to see that Cecil seems to be working on something on his wrist, probably another modification or a perfection of a previously existing one. As you rise to your feet, Cecil glances in your direction and then says, "I'm afraid there's no rest for us. We have to prepare a report for the Archbishop."
Okay. Well, we can't mention Kian or Rourke,
Exactly. So what do we
but
mention?
I did already mention the masked warriors when Billy died in that report to the Archbishop. So we should mention them, because lest somebody else saw them, and then it gets back to the Archbishop, we might be seen as collaborators.
A good point. We might also benefit the sword by at least mentioning that Ruark was seen around the area.
Yes. Yes, we should definitely do that. We should give as much as basically information about these Shadowland dwelling assholes um regarding um we can we mention that they seem to be using Shadowlands to go in and out?
Potentially.
Yeah, so
But I don't think with Ruark it would make much of a difference to anyone.
well, we already have a precedence where such a person killed Billy and collaborated with the Camarilla. So mentioning that there were 12 of them and they were organized and that they seem to be using Shadowlands, um, because they took Titus there, right? Because we got Titus out of the Shadowlands.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So we can do that. So basically, our whole logic is that it's the same. So whoever attacked you and Billy before, it seems to be a group. These are their identifying methods, and they use the Shadowlands because we had to get Titus out of the Shadowlands.
I see.
But let's not say that we used our skills to get Titus out. Let's say we needed to make a deal with Delmont for that.
Well, regardless, we'll have until potentially 2 days from now to make the report. As I hear, the Archbishop will be busy until then. It's only a matter of time until. And as he pauses, he sort of looks down, reaches into his pocket, and pulls out his phone that is vibrating. He looks at it confused for a moment and then turns it to you, and the screen says it's a, incognito number.
Okay. Doesn't bode well. But also, well, maybe does bode well. Who knows?
A moment.
I suppose. Loudspeaker, maybe?
He nods and seems to sort of focus and twist his head. And you see that in his neck, something in there seems to be pushing, as if he has a being living within his throat. And it sort of pushes around, reshaping his voice box until he presses the answer button, the loudspeaker, and he speaks in a woman's voice. Hello? On the other side, you hear the voice of a gentleman. Sounds like a somewhat elderly gentleman. Hello. Is this. Um. Is this the. Ductus. Cecil Ansley?
Do I recognize the voice?
Um. Make a quick perception investigation, please. Or actually,
Sure.
wits investigation.
Sure. Eh. Wait, why is it? What the fuck?
Everything okay?
Ye- My car. Oh, okay, there it is. It wasn't scrolling, so I couldn't.
Yeah, that's fine.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 successes.
Okay, good. So, as you as you as you listen to the voice, you search your memory to see if you can place the voice to someone, and it doesn't quite seem to fit anywhere. So you're pretty sure this is someone you've never met.
Okay.
Uh, Cecil, again in that same woman's voice, repeats, well, this. I don't know who this man may be. Um, do you, I'm not sure how to help you. Maybe you got the wrong number. The man waits for a few moments and says, "Is Serena Moore with you?" Cecil glances towards you.
Serena just does the confused look and raises her hand as in, I don't know who that is. Like, at all.
The man, so Cecil sort of turns his neck, and you see the pieces on his neck sort of fold under their sort of return to its original shape. And Cecil answers in his own voice. "Who is this?" The man responds, "Hello, yes, your presence. Well, I just called you to offer you an invitation to the asylum. It is, well, it recently has been converted into a place of Elysium. You will not be harmed when you show up, and you are to meet with the prince of the city."
Serena just looks at Cecil.
Cecil seems
Very,
to
very, very wary.
Cecil seems to ponder, and then asks, "Prince who?" And after a few moments, the man answers, "Prince Therese Vorman." Cecil sort of raises an eyebrow and says, "And we must meet in the place of Elysium." "Correct. Give us a few moments to decide." And he simply ends the call. He places his phone on the table and seems to begin to think while looking at the phone.
Rather unexpected developments, I would say.
What did he mean by prince?
Well, either Therese/Jeanette are making a grab for power. Who knows? Maybe they've been playing, given what we've seen of Jeanette/Therese, Tenet, traveling into, well, Therese starting to travel from Asylum towards Hollywood, and then switching to Jeanette. And doing whatever she did there. Well, maybe she was doing certain things against the Tremere Prince. Or this is a trap.
I'd wager it's a trap regardless, but perhaps it would benefit us from listening at least.
We are going into a Malkavian's haven.
Oh, we're not. We're doing this by phone call.
I see. So we're not going there.
Not in the slightest.
Very well.
I'm not putting you in that much danger. And he picks the phone up and goes to the contacts and seems to make the call. It rings for just one moment, and then it immediately picks up. Hello. We've decided to hear Mr. Reese's words from the phone, not in person. The gentleman on the other side of the line responds. I see. Well, I'm not entirely sure that will be possible, but I will confirm and, well, I will reach out to you soon. One moment. And essentially a waiting call waiting music begins on the phone, and Cecil just eyes you with sort of an awkward expression.
Um, given the fact that they, even if we're on waiting, they probably can hear whatever we talk here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Serena would probably make a, sort of like tapping uh gesture to her mind, uh hoping that Cecil will understand that we can use the mind, or that she's going to speak to him that way.
Cecil seems to um, nod to you and then focuses for a moment. And after a few moments where he seems to really delve into his own mind, the music stops and you hear a female's voice from the other end. Hello, this is Therese Vorman speaking. Do I have the pleasure of speaking with Cecil Ansley? Cecil responds, Yes, and we've heard your proposal. We would like to hear some more, but we will do so on the phone. There's a few moments of silence, and then Therese responds, Well, yes, that is fine. I will at least mention the beginning of my proposal, but details will have to be given at least from servant to servant. A secure medium, you'd agree? I intend to form an alliance of sorts. I'm aware that you are after my domain, and while my ghoul is rather, let's say, overzealous when stating some of these recent events, my ultimate goal is to take over downtown. The price I'm willing to pay is Santa Monica. That said, there are steps we need to take, so, as a start, I'm willing to give you the south of Santa Monica and work with you to establish a stronger foothold for myself within downtown. After which, I am willing to give the rest of the territory. Cecil seems to ponder for a moment, and then looks to you and mutes the mic on the call. What's your opinion?
Interesting proposal, as potentially Therese will be an easier target to deal with than the Tremere. Especially since, given my recent experiments with the Malkavian network, I probably can confuse it quite a lot. On the other hand, working with somebody who wants to become the prince of downtown, I'm more worried about how it can be used by our enemies to orchestrate our fall. And considering how much this faction with whom Rourke is working are across all echelons of vampire society, according to what Mariposa claimed, what if she's working with Rourke? I'd have to divide on it. If she's not working with Rourke, well, I think it is an interesting proposition, but we'd need to consult the stars, so to say, for pitfalls and problems. Because, but also we need to consider whether she's already working with Hollywood anarchs, given her travels and all that. Because perhaps she wants to establish herself in downtown, gain some resources, like law enforcement, etc. there, so that then to push out Sabbat as anarchs from the entirety of LA, united with the Isaacs. So we need to consult the stars about like the pitfalls. But
We'll do so.
Overall, an excellent opportunity to stab them in the back.
I'll
eventually
keep the deal open.
Yeah.
Cecil taps the unmute button and says, "We are willing to consider this temporary alliance, but we will need to discuss amongst ourselves. We appreciate your time, Baron, and we expect to see you soon, regardless." There's a chuckle from the other end, and Therese responds, "Actually, it's Primogen, not Baron. But regardless of how irrespectful you might be, I do hope you see the wisdom in accepting this deal, and the profit that can be made from both sides. Have a good evening." And the call ends. Get to your divination. Cecil seems to, at that point, sort of become a bit alarmed, and seems to sort of, his eyes seem to dart from one spot to another.
Is something the matter?
You don't feel that?
Wait. I'm going to extend my Auspex awareness.
What sense?
Feelings. Supernatural.
Ah, I see. Well, no need, because as you hear him say this, it's almost like you get hit in the face with this all-consuming sense of grief And as you almost stumble to your knees, Cecil basically takes a few steps back, almost losing his balance, and leans on the table, clutching his chest. He then looks to you and says, "You felt that?"
Yes. I'm going to.
"Where's the rest of the pack? Find the rest of the pack." And he
Okay.
immediately rushes upstairs.
I'm gonna take out my map.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to basically do just like a quick attempt at divining. So like I don't really need like a specific location.
Mm-hmm.
I basically just need a large map of LA, so to say. Heck, even the Earth, to be fair, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I just need to see if everybody detects. Do you want me to roll?
Yeah, sure. You can roll once for all the checks that you're gonna do.
Yeah, okay.
And the whole process would take you about 15 minutes. Yeah, okay. That's yep, good. Okay, so you begin you basically hold this crystal on a chain in between two fingers and just let it swing. And as you focus, who do you try to track first?
I'm gonna start with higher risk.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna start with Larry.
Okay. As you allow the pendant to swing, it takes you a few moments. And then you find that he is somewhere in LA, at least.
Okay.
And as you do this, you hear Cecil's voice from upstairs. "Larry's still alive. I've sent him to search for the others. They seem to be out." And
Okay,
he
Jack.
rushes to another room.
Jack.
Yep. You let the
Actually,
pendant.
no, I wouldn't go for Jack. I would go straight for Titus because he was recently attacked by Kian,
Mm-hmm.
and he described that Kian was pretty pissed off
Yep.
about, like him.
Yep. And as you try to look for Titus, um, I'll ask you to make a very, very quick. Let's make a quick instinct roll for one, just to basically see how close to your emotions this is going to be. Yeah. Okay. So at first, you don't really get like it's not like it's zoning into anywhere, and you sort of think for a moment, maybe the crystal is malfunctioning or something. Maybe I'm doing this wrong. And you try to sort of almost fake it, but at some point, it's almost like the reality of the situation comes to you. Titus is nowhere in the map.
I yelled to into the house. Titus is gone. It's Titus.
Cecil rushes downstairs and says, "Are you sure?"
I mean, I can't find him anywhere.
"Anywhere in LA. Look for America. Hell, look for the world. Just make sure he's around."
I mean, Iris did
"Check!"
sort of like
And
Iris
he
did get like a big
genuinely
map.
seems very, very
Yes, but Iris did get like a big map,
uh
like the world map.
oh, okay. Well, after do you tell him this or do you just check again?
I just quietly look at him. It was a world map.
For a few moments, Cecil looks at you and...
And he's not in the Shadowlands, because I've looked for Roark and Kian when they were in the Shadowlands, and the pendulum just behaves weird. This is absence. Last time I got these results when I was looking for Sosima's brother.
Cecil stares at you for a moment, and his expression is one of outright denial. His eyes are basically, they stare directly at you, but they sort of dart around between looking at each of your eyes. And after a few moments, you just hear him start to mutter as he turns and starts pacing around the room, holding his forehead. Not again. Not again.
Serena drops the pendulum and goes up to him, and then very awkwardly embraces him and says, "We'll find out what happened."
One sec. As soon as you touch him, there's sort of a jolt in his body, almost as if he's going to, like, swing at you, and he seems to stop himself in time and just sort of clutches his fist and then just hugs you back.
We'll find what happened to him. I think like, if he died in this world, I can find the location. And if I can't find the location, then we know who did it. And we can make sure to return the favor one day. And if we can't find a location in this world, well, we'll find out what happened.
Cecil seems to be silent. He really, really clutches his arms around you, like he really pulls you in tightly. And after a few moments, he just says, "It happened again. And I couldn't stop it either time."
Well, we'll find out.
It happened again. And
I'm sorry.
he sort of seems to slowly let go of you. And he begins rubbing his forehead and begins heading to the bed and sits down, sort of braces his elbows on his knees and just holds his head.
Serena takes out the LA map.
Mm-hmm.
And tries to find place where Titus died.
Okay, it's going to be a bit higher difficulty than usual, but yes.
To divine is going to be higher than usual.
Yes. To interpret, it's going to be regular.
Okay, well, first is the divine, so what difficulty?
Yeah, that's still 2 successes, so you're fine. And now to interpret.
To interpret, I rolled.
Oh, okay. To divine is the first one, right? Okay. Yeah, that's 1 success. So, yeah. And to interpret, yeah, that's plenty. So you It takes you a while, but eventually you do manage to narrow it down to somewhere within Santa Monica. And you continue to divine, and it slowly begins narrowing down. It's no longer it no longer encompasses the asylum, somewhere in the north of Santa Monica. And at some point, um, your phone buzzes.
I ignore it for a second.
Mm-hmm.
I finish this first.
Okay. It buzzes, and eventually stops buzzing. And you manage to narrow it down to the Crowfield Arms building.
I take up my phone as I look to Cecil. It was the Crowfield Arms. And I look at my phone, what was going on there.
Cecil doesn't seem to react when you say that. He just seems a bit locked in his own mind. You look to your phone, check your missed calls, and the number is Titus's number.
I got a call from Titus right now. Oh. Oh. Oh, 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 oh. Oh. Okay, I'm gonna draw a card.
Okay.
How dangerous it is to call Titus right now back.
Okay. Make the rolls. Damn. Okay. So you mix the cards a bit, quickly take one card out, and you get. How dangerous would it be? Essentially, you draw a card that, as you interpret it at that moment, seems to be. There is a degree of danger as to anything, but no real danger so long as you behave in an intelligent way.
Okay, I'm gonna call back.
Yep. You call. It takes a while. And eventually the person on the other end answers. But you don't hear any talking. You hear...
Hello?
You say... You try to reach out, and... at some point you focus, and you can hear on the other end sort of... sniff and a bit of heavy breathing. Probably someone who's crying.
Is everything okay? Titus, are you all right? Did something happen? Basically, a lot of like empathy, a lot of, human acting. Do you want me to roll?
You may. It's manipulation, and since you're pretending to cry, or since you're pretending to be empathetic, at least, you should roll manipulation and performance.
And of course, acting applies, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just a second. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 3 successes. Titus, is everything okay? What? Were you attacked by that man again?
You hear from the other end, just in a woman's voice, a few sniffs and a slight whimper, and then the call ends.
Okay, so I'm thinking that. So I look to Cecil. Okay, so first of all, I'm gonna send to everybody. Everybody, do not pick up any calls from Titus. Titus is dead. Whoever has his phone, is not one of us. So I send the text to everyone. I also said Titus was working with Jesus before, right? He had some gangbangers working
Yeah.
from that connection. That went over to my ghoul, right?
Most of the organizations so far. The process is still ongoing, but yes.
Yes. So basically, I'm going to text basically so I'm going to text my ghoul, Marcus, that if there was anyone working with Titus within the greater organization, not take any calls from him anymore. Because basically he was killed and whoever has his phone number has his contact, so no contact. And to whoever I know from Sabbat, right, who was in contact with Titus, right, Isaac, etc., Victoria, I send the same message that Titus was killed. Titus was killed, and the killer has his phone number.
Okay.
Like his phone. So whatever contacts there might be there, like we don't know what it is, so do not pick up calls because we don't know what they can do.
Okay.
Then Serena looks to Cecil. So on the other end of Titus's phone number was a woman crying.
Cecil sort of rubs his temple and then says, sorry, what did you say?
I said that right now I got a call from Titus's phone number after he died. On the other end, there was a woman.
Of course,
He
there
died.
was a woman.
Wait. He died at the Crowfield Arms. Do you remember who runs the Crowfield Arms?
His family, from what I recall.
His mother. Now, I'm not saying it's his mother, but given the fact that the kind of weapons they were making, and that Jack has reported to us on their connections to the Society of Leopold, you know, the Vatican hunters. I'm thinking that she might have something to do with the Society of Liverpool, given the weapons that they make.
If she does, we'll kill them all, including her.
Yes, but that means...
The problem, Iris, is that no matter what we do, they can always get to us. And I can't fucking stop them. No matter what I try. Call everyone to the Haven.
Yes. Iris takes her phone and sends out a message to everyone.
Mm-hmm. And as you do, you get a response from your ghoul. You open up the text, and it seems to be a link to the song by Queen, Another One Bites the Dust, sort of in jest. And you've mastered your beast enough not to succumb to these impulses, but goddamn, do you feel the fucking impulse to go to his fucking office and murder him for making a joke about this?
Yes, well, I'll go to his office and teach him a lesson about making jokes about those who are superior to him.
Now or later?
No, later.
Okay.
I have enough control over my beast to do that on my own terms instead of succumbing to the frenzy.
Okay. And yeah, after you text the pack, uh, Cecil sort of gets up from the bed and starts slowly walking to the stairs to climb up. He goes up into the lobby and eventually makes it out the front door. If you follow him, which
I do.
yeah, um, he seems to rub his eyes and then reaches into his pocket, takes his phone, and dials a phone number. He puts the phone to his ear and eventually. Hmm?
I'll fix listening.
That's fine. That's fine. I'll just consider it a success for this. Um, he begins to prepare to speak, and he says, "Hello, and before he can continue, he seems to be interrupted. And as you listen with Auspex, you can hear the Archbishop's voice on the other end. And she says, Ductus, yes, can I requisition your presence at my office? I'm aware of what happened. I would like you to give your input on something else first. I expect you in half to a full hour." And the call turns off. And Cecil's hand sort of shakes for a moment, and he begins to pocket his phone. He then turns to you and says, "Get in the car."
Okay, will do.
And he walks to the car. And this is where we will take a short break and return very soon with the second part of tonight's episode. See you soon. Welcome back. So, we join a man, an unknown man so far, driving south through the Mojave Desert. He drives through the long roads. And what kind of music does he have on his radio? Tell me.
It's country music playing on his radio at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Like the kind of 70s and the 80s country music.
All right. All right. And as this country music plays and the man adjusts his glasses, his sunglasses, mind you, in the middle of the night, he makes his way right into the north of LA. And as the city begins to build up around him as he drives through the at first small buildings that slowly reveal taller and taller buildings, and looking at the horizon he even sees a few skyscrapers in the distance. Eventually he drives through the streets and makes his way into East LA to an address he was given. He checks the phone, the GPS, it seems to be correct. He drives into the area, and eventually reaches his destination. Sort of a small neighborhood with a number of condos. He exits the car, locking it behind, and taps the trunk of the car before making his way into one of the buildings, building number 7. He knocks at the door, and after a short while, the door opens, and this portly man, wearing a tank top and covered in tattoos, looking like you're the biggest stereotype of a Mexican drug runner. He looks you up and down and says, "What's your name?"
And my name's Jim.
He closes the door, and after a few moments, the door opens again, and the man steps to the side and just gestures with his head like,
Thank you, kind gentleman.
you make your way inside, and sitting on a rather expensive and comfortable looking chair, surrounded by a number of vicious looking kindred and, well, Cainites in this case, sits a woman who sports a few tattoos on her arms, partially hidden by sleeves pulled back up to the elbow. She's wearing a white shirt, with black pants and shoulder straps. Her head has a blue bandana, covering her forehead, and straight black hair with lips wearing a very dark red lipstick and some very dark eye makeup. She eyes you up and down and says, "I believe we spoke on the phone."
Yes, you must be Archbishop Victoria.
I am.
Thank you for your invitation. I'm so glad we have to meet. It's my first time in LA. I'm from New York myself.
She raises her hand to sort of quiet you and then says, "Before I allow you to do your business in this city, I must know what brought you to the sword. As I looked into your background, it seems you're a defector from the tower."
I've been a victim of discrimination well, they really don't kind of like it, and I don't enjoy their company. I feel like uh, they kind of want to shackle me in a place and do like the most shittiest work possible, and that's not how I am. You're probably aware of my clan. It's Clan Toreador.
I'm aware. And yet, from what I've derived, you've so far been packless. I know it's been a few years. You're expected to join a pack to be considered true Sabbat. Are you aware of this?
Yes, I heard of such customs that the Sabbat organization works mainly in packs, unlike an.
Not, not customs, Mr. Jim. It's the code of Milan that keeps us organized, and to abide by the code, you need a pack. So, I know of a few options, and I'm feeling generous today. So tell me in a succinct manner, what brings you to LA?
I want to get away from my sire as far as possible.
Mm-hmm. Your sire is still part of the tower?
Yes, he is. He is an annoying one.
Mm. Soon enough, he'll meet his fate.
I
What
will.
about your ambitions, Mr. Jim?
I want to develop myself and help others, so I could help others develop also. I
Oh,
want to learn more about your culture, and I've also heard that you have very interesting people, especially the ability called vicissitude, which is used by the Tzimitsa clan.
yes. The fiends are often skilled in such things. It is their trademark, after all. And I believe I have just the perfect teacher for you, Mr. Jim. However, to bring him here, we need to make sure he is available. So, before I set you on the path to meet your pack, I would like you to tell me everything you know about the tower, as you, in my eyes, have yet to meet the requirements to become true Sabbat. So tell me everything you know of the tower. What is their status in New York currently?
Sadly, my sire didn't allow me to learn a lot. He kept me busy doing small chores and never teach me anything. Most of the time, I was locked away, and he only released me to his quite stupid tasks. I couldn't even craft my arts. Sometimes I've managed to run away and do as I pleased, but he catched me, and I was severely punished by that. He did tell me that there's Primogen. He also told me about something about the death of Prince in LA here, somewhere called Venture Tower, I think. That happened some quite time ago. Well, I've been embraced in how many? Is it's been 40 years already? Holy
Victoria
shit!
raises her hand to stop you from rambling and says, "I get the picture. Let me assure you, Jim, you are on the brink of freedom. But to enjoy freedom, you need to attune yourself to our objectives. We are not anarchs. We are not without rule, without discipline, or without knowledge of what we are. Is that understood?"
Yes, I do believe, and I also heard Sar told me about the propaganda about you that's opposite, and I know how propaganda works.
Good.
You did mention Code of Milan. I need to get accustomed to it.
Good. In that case, you will join this new pack, and you will do your creation rites as either the Ductus or the pack priest of this pack demands. And once you are fully inducted into their pack, then I will allow you to be considered true Sabbat. Is that understood?
Yes, I will do my best.
As you answer, Victoria looks to her pocket, reaches in, takes her phone, checks it, and seems to bring it to her ear.
Jim is constantly smiling all the time and looks around everywhere. First on the ceiling, then on the floor, on the people around him.
As you eye the people around you, a lot of them seem to be watching you very closely with sort of curious yet predatory eyes. And eventually you sort of, nonchalantly look back with a smile at the guy at the door. Again, this sort of hefty fella. And he sort of has this disgusted look in his face when he watches you. And he sort of does this chest motion at you, like, what the fuck do you want? And then you just kindly turn back to Victoria. And after she's done, she pockets her phone and says, "It seems luck has found you, Mr. Jim. Momentarily, your new Ductus will be here, and they will choose if they would like to have you in their pack. Or not.
I can't wait for it.
I'm sure you can't. In the meantime, I hope you can wait outside."
Okay then.
Arturo
And,
will keep you
Arturo will-
company until then. And she motions to the man at the door, who opens the door and lets you out.
I bow and leave.
As you leave, Arturo follows you, closes the door behind him, and crosses his arms watching you.
I'm tapping my foot as fast as possible.
After a few moments, Arturo just says, "Stop tapping your fucking foot, it's annoying.
Oh, sorry.
And shut up." And after a few moments, a car seems to arrive. It parks, and two people come out. The first is a tall, gaunt man with very long and stringy white hair. He seems to be wearing this hood and this long cloak. And you just catch a glimpse of his face. It's pale with this very long nose. And he seems to have these weird lines on his face. You can't quite make it out. And the other person who appears is a fairly tall woman. Well, I should let her describe herself to you. Serena, why don't you describe to Jim what you look like right now?
So, fairly tall is an apt description. If you would estimate it, it would be probably almost like 1.9 meters. So, peak model height, let's say. Compared to the man, she looks quite normal, even like quite healthy looking, not pale. There's what it seems to be like blush on her cheeks. Her lips are, so a very useful looking face. Since you've been around for 40 years, you'd guess, like your guess would be that either this is a very high humanity vampire or a very fresh embrace. And she also has very long, wavy, this unkempt, these waves, not in the old Hollywood style where they're very managed, but more like windswept, as if they've been wetted by the seawater and then dried. Red hair. You don't see her eyes as she's wearing sunglasses, even though it's night, and she's wearing pretty tall heels and wide pants, as well as this sort of like more of a very hippie slash extravagant slash business attire. So it's definitely wide office pants, but they're made from velvet, and there's belts and chains around her waist with occult symbols. And he's wearing a blouse like one would wear, but it's has puffy sleeves and a bow at the neck, and the long leather jacket. He seems to be chatting comfortably with the man who is, regardless of her height, still remains taller than her.
The man seems to sort of be listening but not really responding, and after a brisk walk towards, well, in your general direction, the man, sort of ignoring your presence, says to Arturo, "We're expected." Arturo opens the door and lets both of them inside.
I've seen both of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy is checking both of their aura for the strongest emotion.
Okay. You may make the roll.
Mm-hmm. Perception, empathy.
Yes. Not benefiting from your Auspex rating because this is a discipline roll.
Just nothing. Not a botch, not a success.
Is it not a success? Hold on.
Well, ones also count as a botch, and I have 2 successes and 2 ones. The difficulty rating seems to be 6.
Oh, it's... Sorry, apologies. It didn't update on my end for the longest time. Yeah, okay. Yep, that's fine. Okay, well, you tried to focus on their auras, but it's kind of hard to tell immediately. And after you...
Actually, wouldn't that be a botch?
For aura perception? Isn't the difficulty 6 on that?
No,
Oh, it's 7.
It's 7 actually.
it's 8.
Wonderful! That is a botch. No, actually, it's not a botch, because... Well, with our homebrew rules, it is, isn't it? Because we just count for our collective successes. Yes, so that is a botch.
He has one success, but he has a botch of 1 level.
Yeah, so as you try to look at their auras, at first you think you see these really weird red auras, and then you realize you're wearing sunglasses, which tint everything red. And getting distracted, you sort of try to salvage the situation, but instead what Serena sees is this really awkward man really staring at her, and for a moment she thinks he's checking her out.
Serena just glances at him in a very... You know, the glance that women give to creeps?
Mm-hmm.
That's a one.
Yeah. And as both the woman and the tall gentleman make it inside, you are left alone with Arturo once more, Jim. And Arturo closes the door, crosses his arms again, and just waits. After a moment, Arturo's sort of turns his head slightly to you and says, "Don't worry, I check her out often too."
Well, yeah, kind of awkward from my side.
Well, only because you got caught. And your annoying ass is visible as hell. I mean, what the hell are you wearing? And as before you can even answer, you hear 2 knocks at the door, and Arturo immediately disregards whatever you're about to say, opens the door, and sort of grabs you by the back and pushes you inside.
Oh, thank you. I guess I'm going in.
Yep. And as you are sort of ushered inside, you see the tall man with now the hood pulled back, and now that you actually look at his face, you see that the red lines on his face are sort of fissures on his skin, and there is something underneath sort of moving constantly. It's not pulsating, it's not really moving erratically, but it's like slight movements happening constantly. And the man sort of looks at you quite unimpressed and says, "This is the one, Archbishop?" Victoria nods, and the man simply says, "Serena, why don't you introduce him to our customs outside? I need to address recent events with the Archbishop."
Of course. Follow me, Mr. Jim.
And I'm following.
Yep. And as Serena sort of guides him outside, Arturo keeps the door open for both of you. And as Serena passes him, he just says, "Good luck," and
Serena
closes
just
the
like
door
looks.
behind you.
Serena just like glances at him, just like with an expression that's already done.
Yeah. And the door closes behind you.
Um, is there like a room where Serena can sit down while she waits for Cecil to be done?
Well, you're outside. You could sit in the car.
Okay. Yep. So I guess Serena goes down to the car and instructs Jim to sit in the back while she sits. By the way, who drove the car? Was it
You.
Serena or Cecil? Yeah. So she sits in the driver's seat and instructs Jim to sit in the back seat.
Jim obliges.
Yeah. You both get in the car. The door closes. And
Right.
Jim, since now you've got Serena's attention to some extent, why don't you describe what you're wearing, what you look like?
I'm wearing a formal dress, custom crafted by Jim himself, with fabric that's like a mix of cotton and some other unknown to man fabric that you'll learn about later. So basically, a formal dress that the one that people use in show business. So what he's seen, people that dress also. The ones that create that designers clothes, the designer look. So he looks like a high status person while totally it's false. So
What
he's
colors? What colors have you chosen for this formal suit?
well, it's black and red.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and carry on.
Oh, you must be Serena from the Mitzi clan, am I correct?
No, I'm Malkavian, but I am a flesh crafter.
Well, I kind of noticed that. I'm sorry for my first impression because I am very observative person.
How would you even know that I'm from the Flesh Crafters? And Serena just like lowers the um lowers the driver's seat sun shield, opens the mirror, and looks to her face. I'm pretty sure this is quite perfect in imitating what the Camarilla humane lot looks like. Not like you could see any of the other parts. So,
Well,
tell
you
me.
you have this look that's exactly as your sire, which left us the tall one.
Dr. Cecil is my mentor.
He's not your sire. Right. If
I
you're not,
am
if you're,
Malkavian.
I've seen Malkavians, but you're talking to me like a normal person. What the fuck?
Hmm.
Am I being
Well,
pranked here? I'm sorry.
let me look at you closer.
Sure, you can take a look.
An annoyingly posh outfit. Shallow impressions. You must be a Toreador, aren't you?
Yes, I am. I'm a Toreador.
Of course. Well, first of all, you should know that the Malkavian clan suffers from different ailments. Mine is the same that it was when I was mortal. Well, through time I did gain a few others, but like I said, mine is the same as it was when I was mortal. And let's just say that with this ailment people, when they're involved in something they really enjoy and feel passionate about, they're more aided by their derangement. But should they be involved in affairs or tasks that bring no joy, then they suffer for it. I'm not. Given what we've heard of you at your age, not sure whether you've heard of it, but it has been a recent mortal development to actually properly identify that mental disorder. It's called ADHD, Attention Deficit and Hyperactivity Disorder.
Oh, I see. Well, yeah, it does kind of make sense. What the ones I've seen there were basically psycho, especially that coder one. That my
Any
sire.
Camarilla?
Yes, I've been in New York, and my sir has bring me to one of them, and he was basically typing on his keyboard. He was spewing some nonsense, but
Well,
somehow he could understand this guy and talk to him.
well, let's just say that before I defected to the Sabbat when I was part of the Camarilla, let's just say employment with that sect did not bring me joy. And I suffered from depression and rather violent acts of impulsivity myself. It is far easier to manage that type of derangement when I'm doing, but of course I'm not saying that all McClavians suffer from that because, some of the ailments you can't really fix, but let's just say that all of us have a connection to something beyond what your aspects can give. And due to some of the minds just break on contact with that. The clan think.
I see. So you're basically connected to all the Malkavians, even the Camarilla ones, but unwillingly.
Sure, because some of them don't even have dementation. But I suppose all of us share the blood of Malkov. But enough about the Malkavians. I am Serena Moore, and I'm the pack priest. Which means for all spiritual, for all lawful, for all behavior according to the conduct of Sabbat, I am your teacher, and I shall also decree if you've been acting inappropriately. Now, we've been informed that you have yet to have a pack, and thus you do not have the true Sabbat status. Are you aware of all the details of Code of Milan?
I've only heard the name. I'm yet to read about
I
it.
see. Quite disappointing progress for the last 2 years of defecting, if you want to claim to be Sabbat, but I suppose it's something that we'll be fixing later.
Well, unfortunately, I've only managed to talk to one of your people, well, our bishop, only
I see.
today. And you don't have like books about
No, we
in
don't, and I hope
libraries.
you don't make any. Right then. So, to make it short, you will be taught about the Code of Milan and all of that. Code of Milan basically outlines all the rights and all the obligations of the Sabbat. Now, since you're not true Sabbat, you will have only obligations. Until you prove yourself worthy of the Sabbat, you rank the lowest in a pack. Once you have proven yourself loyal and true, you are equal to all other pack members and have equal say in all the common pack decisions. The Doctus is the war leader. If he gives you a task, whether you're true Sabbat or false Sabbat, as you are to perform that task to the uttermost of your duties. The pack priest is your spiritual guidance, so to say. In short, to break it down, the Code of Milan, the safety of the sect, the goals of the sect come first before any of your personal disagreements or with any other member of the sect or any other ambition you might have outside of the sect. The sect is first. Outside of that, you can do whatever you want as long as it does not endanger the sect or endanger any of its plans or your pack, of course. We partake in the Voldery ritual, which serves to build our communal bonds with the pack and the greater Sabbat on bigger events like the one held on the Old Hallows Night, which is coming up quite soon.
Will that help me sever the bond from my sire?
Are you still bonded to your sire?
Well, I still kind of feeling that he's calling me, searching for me.
Well, it will definitely sever your any blood bonds that you have on yourself, and as far as the lore tells us, it also serves as a tool to resist the calls of the ancients manipulating the eternal struggle of the Cainite race. So you'll be more resistant to the calls of your ancient ancestor, just as well as any blood bonds you have to your sire will be broken. But given that you're a Toreador, I'm going to have to say that the summon power of your clan, that doesn't work through the blood. So that you will have to learn to resist yourself. But, I suppose it could be an interesting side project and something that I've been meaning to develop a long time ago. After all, your pesky Toreador powers are quite a pain in the ass. But, and if it works with some of the disciplines you already possess, I might even teach you. If I develop something like that. It's been on my bucket list.
Do you know any other Toreadors in Sabbat?
Yes, there is one. Um, one Javier. He is on the. She looks at she looks at Jim. He does follow the road of the beast, so I'm not sure he is of a mindset that you might enjoy. You know about the roads of enlightenment?
Yeah, I heard about that's well how they explained it. That's like you kind of hack your humanity.
Oh, no. What's your academic background in philosophy? Jim? What's your academic background with philosophy? Read a few books or never read a single one?
Well, I kind of read some papers when I was studying, but well, I'd say I'm more of a craftsman than an academic. I am a tailor. If you need
Fantastic.
a dress, I can provide you one. I can sew you one myself.
Okay. Well, what about modern sci-fi? Hey! Sorry, the dogs are barking. What about sci-fi?
Oh, the sci-fi, yes, the modern ones, the Star Trek, the newest series, yeah.
Okay, good. Star Trek is good. Now, do you remember, for example, the hive-minded ones, right?
The Borgs, yes.
Right. Now, do you agree that the Borgs have a completely different set of moral ethics than humanity?
Well, they
And
were based on one being, as far as I remember, but yes.
more along the lines, do the Borgs or all alien races share the same ethics or same sentiments as a human race?
Of course not.
Right. So, roads of enlightenment are philosophical systems of morality that are meant for Cainites. They are not hacks of humanity, they are simply made by vampires for vampires, for another race. To look at them as good or bad, and to equate inhuman to monstrous, is a common mistake of humanity vampires. And shovelheads and young vampires who still remain attached to the dichotomy of good and bad, good and evil. So, for humans, some of the paths might be monstrous, but that's because those roads were not for humans. After all, what is good for the gazelle is not good for the lion.
Well, that kind of sounds brainwashy, but okay, if it works, it works. Especially if it keeps that being called the beast at bay. Keeps gnawing on me annoyingly.
Someone's really, really begging to get slapped on the face.
You just see that Serena just looks at you with a very disappointed look. You, like, she doesn't even bother hiding it. And now that she's, like, more relaxed, you see that she doesn't really blink. And her facial expressions don't change much. And even though at first she seems very, like, humane, After you went into the brainwashy bit, she just looked at you like you're dust beneath her feet. A worm.
Sorry if I said anything wrong.
No, you just showed the utter lack of understanding. Something that is very disappointing for me and my mentor, given our road that favors research and enlightenment. That was disappointing yet expected.
Well, either way, I'm at your service. You can point me who to kill, who to rob, what to investigate. I'll do it. Just tell me.
We will. Besides crafting, what are you good at?
Well, I have kind of background as a, well, you'd say a charlatan or a quack. Well, I'd call myself a medicine amateur.
A medicine amateur?
Well, I can do some good stuff. I can do painkillers, which are not effective for me already.
Pharmacy. Pharmacologist.
Well, that just, I'd say that was more a hobby of my previous life. I'm a tailor.
Are you good with your vampiric disciplines?
Yes, that's the only thing my Tsar like teach me well is how to use my powers, but nothing else. It felt like he just wanted to lock me out and just use it for whatever opportunity for his plans.
I see. Um, at some point, Serena removes her sunglasses, and you see that her eyes are a vivid red. Not glowing red, if you've seen Eyes of the Beast, but just red. She starts looking quite, how to say, um, she starts looking quite anxious as she's tapping the driver's wheel, looking outside every now and then, looking for a companion. And as she does that, she continues speaking. So our pack is currently made of 2 other members. Our 3rd member perished this night. So we will be busy with a few cleanup.
Just a question, sorry for asking, but does it happen often? Packmate perishing?
Depends.
As you ask this question, the door to Victoria's room opens, and Cecil
Wait,
walks out.
We were in a car.
Yeah, I know. You basically see from the car the door to Victoria's essentially apartment, the apartment she's in. It opens, Cecil comes out, and he starts walking towards the car, sort of rubbing his forehead with the hood on.
Yeah, Serena quickly turns to Jim. Do not mention this at the moment. We are in grief. Lest you wish to encounter what a grieving beast does to one, I suggest you drop this topic for now.
I apologize. Yet I'm also relieved to hear that.
Serena doesn't reply.
Eventually, the passenger door of the car opens. Cecil climbs in and says, Right. Jim, do you have a car?
Yes, I have a car.
Get in
Should be
it.
a part.
Get in it and follow us. Let's go back
Okay.
to the Haven.
Titus goes to. Sorry, Jim goes to his car.
Wrong man. Don't mention it. Okay. Well, Jim gets in the car, and Cecil, after looking down for a moment, looks to Serena and says, "Drive to the Haven. A decision has been made. I'll update you on the way."
Okay. And Serena starts driving, not too fast. Well, she first looks to what car the Toreador drives.
Yep. It is a car that is as expensive and flashy as you'd expect a Toreador from the Camarilla to have.
Ugh. But yeah, then Serena drives as fast as she can drive.
That said,
Without
I will mention, while it is very flashy, it's also very, very utilitarianly designed in a way where you can tell it has a big trunk. It has lots of space inside. The front of the car is quite long, so it probably could crash and keep everybody inside in somewhat good shape. So it's not entirely visual, but the visuals were clearly something that was considered when getting this car. It just shouts "rich boy."
Yes, yes. Serena just like given like some of the highways that LA obviously has, Serena chooses to travel through the highways and just to see can he keep up with his flashy car and driving.
Mm-hmm.
So driving pretty fast.
Okay. Well, let me double check something. All right. So
This is Serena's sports car.
I won't need to do much here. As you start driving, are you doing any difficult maneuvers, or are you just speeding down the highway?
I mean, depends on the situation. Maybe there are some, like overtaking other cars or things like that.
Well, at this time, there aren't a lot of cars in the street, so it's up to you if you want to, like, fucking drift around East LA or some shit like that, or if you want to just get on the highway and drive.
Well, a little bit of both. Basically, just like, speeding up and then seeing how he keeps up.
Okay. Well, while you drift around East LA on the way to the highway, um, he is not keeping up at all. He seems like he's struggling.
Then Serena slows down too so that he can follow.
Mm-hmm. You are not entirely sure if he's just afraid to chip the paint or if he's not very good at it. But yeah. Then you reach the highway, at which point you just need to, accelerate to keep up.
Yeah.
And you start speeding, and he presses the accelerator and keeps up just fine. So the car's performance is really, really good. Yes.
So that's within the speed limit.
No. If you go over the speed limit, he keeps up just fine. The performance of the car is very good, at least.
But I'm not yet pushing my sports car to the max, am I?
No.
The driver himself is shitty, but yeah.
That said, as you start making your way to the Haven, Jim, you sort of sit back watching Serena drive, and as your mind wanders to the possibilities of the future, you just lean your head back and sort of relax, letting just one hand rest on your side and holding the wheel with the other. And as a few bumps come from your trunk, you just smile and tilt your head slightly and drive to your new home. And that is where we will end
What?
this part of the session.
What about the decision Cecil talked about?
I will send that in private to you.
Okay.
Um, and now, because unfortunately the player in question could not show up tonight, we have recorded ahead of time his prelude, which I will play now, right before we end tonight's session. So, I hope you enjoyed the session so far. I hope you enjoy this pre recorded session that's coming up. And we will see you in the beginning of season 2 of Beyond Armageddon. Have a good night, everybody. We go back a couple of weeks, back to that fateful night, just right in front of Crowfield Arms, where Ruark and his men vanish in thin air, and Abel's phone buzzes as he carries Isaac to his car. He checks the phone, and I've sent you what you see.
Yes.
The pack seem to be rushing off, but Abel quickly excuses himself, saying he'll need to help Isaac get to the church safe, and there are other matters that need to be tended to. As you get in the car, Isaac adjusts his posture in the back seat, clutching onto his broken arm. And as you begin to drive off, you hear Isaac in a very pained tone of voice say, "Why are we splitting from them?"
I need to take you back to your clergy.
Yeah. I have no pack left. So, you can drive me to there's a sewer entrance somewhat hidden in the back of my church. It's covered with a wooden plank, but moving it, you should have access to it. If you take me over there, I can handle the rest myself.
How are you feeling?
Not good. I had to make a sacrifice to survive this.
You got some outside help?
No. At least not yet. I hope. No, I had to give away some information.
Will this come and bite you back?
I'm not sure. It may. It may end up with someone else in front of that bus. I'm not sure yet. I hope nothing bad happens, but whatever happens in the future, Abel, if push comes to shove, you just make sure the creature gets nothing.
I think I understand.
Good, good. And I hope you don't mind, but I noticed your expression. For the situation we were in, you looked at your phone with a bit of concern, but it didn't seem similar to other times I've seen you worried.
Well, let's say it's a complicated issue. It's an unexpected family matter.
As you say that, the car begins to pass through the area just north of downtown and begins to circle it. Isaac adjusts his posture as the car shifts both of you to one side and the other every time you turn. And then he says, "Family matters. You're a mortal bloodline or someone new?"
It's something that I haven't fully come to terms with yet.
I see.
Whether I regret it or not, but it seemed like the only way at the time.
I understand. As Isaac seems to focus for a bit, you hear sort of the clicking and snapping noises that usually accompany a vampire mending its bones. And after a moment, Isaac sort of tests his healed arm and continues. The only reason why I ask is just know that the influence from beyond corrupts more than just you. It'll just use you to corrupt those things.
Oh. Well, I did not expect any less, I suppose. We'll cross those bridges when we come to them, I suppose.
Of course.
Again.
Before what happened, one of my packmates, Chuck the Nosferatu, he was looking into your pack, and he told me that some of you have been to Hollywood, while others have been to downtown. You wouldn't happen to know what the pack is planning in those territories, would you?
As far as I know, our interests lie solely with Santa Monica at the moment.
Good. I was going to...
Just keeping an ear out what the general consensus would be in Hollywood should something In the lines of a coup happening in Santa Monica.
Well, more information is good. In regards to Santa Monica, I originally planned to take the seat of the Archbishop, but now I have no backing from a pack. No influence there anymore, at least.
Would you think that it's not a coincidence?
Perhaps. It's something I'll have to look into. And as Isaac says this, you begin to approach the Sabbat territory in East LA. A few minutes and you should be at the church. Isaac seems to close his eyes for a moment and he focuses. And can you make me a quick perception empathy roll, please?
Yes.
Okay. That is one success. Isaac seems to close his eyes, and the expression on his face makes you think he's struggling. At least in his mind. He turns his head slightly and then shakes it and opens his eyes again and says, There are influences from beyond that will try to take advantage of my current situation. Another reason why I can't take a place of power anymore.
Are you safe to be left alone?
I should be, yes. I have ways of combating this influence.
We should discuss this at one point.
At some point, but not tonight, Abel. Church is right here. You can circle out back.
All right.
And as you turn, the car eventually slows down to a stop near the back of the church. Isaac makes sure to check his clothes, check his body, make sure everything is as friendly to the silence of blood as possible. He adjusts his coat and then places his hand on the handle of the car door. And before he opens it, he says, "Thank you for saving me."
You're welcome. I assume you would do the same for me.
Always. Always.
Just don't hesitate to let me know if you need a friend.
Isaac seems like he's going to say something, and then, again, seems to think about it and apparently changes his mind as he turns his head slightly and says, "I'll remember that. Good luck with the rest of your business tonight, Abel." And he opens the door and begins to exit.
I watch him leave.
He takes a few steps, and after looking in his pockets, he eventually pulls out an old set of keys. He twists them on the lock of the gate at the fence blocking off the back of the church and opens it. He walks inside and simply lets the gate close by itself. And as the gate is closing, you just see, with the last bit of sight you have within the back of the church, you basically just see Isaac in sort of an explosion of emotion just turn to the wall and start throwing punches at it continuously. And eventually the gate closes, locking automatically.
I believe he needs some alone time right now.
Mm-hmm. In that case, you begin to drive off. And as you do, once again you glance at your phone to see that the text is regarding your child. And as you begin to drive off, we will end this small session of Vampire the Masquerade. See you next season.